Let's start with algebra. This is algebra, and we are talking about expressions. So when we talk about expressions, we are talking about symbols, we are talking about numbers, and we are talking about operations. Now symbols are usually alphabets. It can be X, it can be Y. So these are used for symbols, mostly X when we use symbols. Numbers are usually A, B, C, D, and or it can also be 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, these numbers can represent something. And when we say operations, we are talking about plus, minus, multiplication, division. So these are called operations. So let me show you some example of expressions. So ax plus b is an expression where a can be 2, b can be 3, it can be 5x, it can be minus 1, it can be 7x plus 2, it can be anything. So this is an expression. Then it can be ax squared plus bx plus c. So when we have it like this, it could be x squared plus twice x minus 6. It could be x squared minus thrice x plus 5. It could be 2x squared plus 7x minus 1. It could be like that. Now expression can also be like these: ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Now it could be 2x cubed plus x squared minus x minus 1. It could be x cubed plus 5x squared plus twice x plus 3. It could be 5x cubed plus x squared plus x plus 7. It could be anything. So you get an idea what an expression is. Now look here, in all the expressions that I showed you, the x, meaning the symbol, also known as the variable, that variable has a positive power, meaning when it is upstairs it has a positive power. So whenever we have an expression where x is upstairs and the power of x is positive, we call that polynomial expression. Polynomial expression. Polynomial expression. So expression can be polynomial or non-polynomial. When I refer to a polynomial expression, I'm actually referring to something that looks like this. For example, a constant, then x to the power 1, then another constant, let me call it a1 for simplicity, a2 x to the power 2 plus another constant a3 x to the power 3, and it goes on like this: a4 x to the power 4, and it goes on like that. So when we talk about an expression, we are talking about, mostly in exams and in syllabuses, it's usually they refer to polynomial expression. So polynomial expression is an expression where when the power of x is upstairs, it is a positive power. So that's a polynomial expression. Now expression can also be non-polynomial, but let's talk first of all about polynomial expression. For example, this one is called a linear expression because the power of x is 1. So the highest power of x is 1. So we call this a linear polynomial expression. This one is a quadratic polynomial expression, and the highest power of x is cubed. This is a cubic polynomial expression. So now that we know that what is an expression, and now that we know what is a polynomial expression is an expression where all the powers of x when upstairs is positive. Let me give an example of a non-polynomial expressions. So for example, 2 by x. Now x is downstairs, but if I write it upstairs, you write it as 2 x to the power minus 1. Now the power of x is negative, so this is not polynomial. So this is a non-polynomial expression. So whenever we have an expression where any of it has a negative power when it when brought upstairs, that's not a polynomial expression at all. So this is something that is very, very important to remember. So an expression is something made up of variables referred to as symbols, usually x, and numbers a, b, c, d, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and operations, which is plus, minus, multiplication, division. And in the syllabus, what we have is polynomial expressions. So polynomial expressions are like the power of x when upstairs has to be positive. Non-polynomial expressions or anything else. So most of the expressions in the world are non-polynomial expressions. You have to remember that. So what we have to do here now is think about what do we do to expressions. So let me write this down. What we do to expressions. We do mainly two things to expressions. One is we simplify. The next thing that we can do is factorize. So we can factorize. So these are the two things that we can do to expressions. Whenever the question is what can you do to expressions, we can simplify or we can factorize. Now what is the meaning of simplifying? To simplify means to perform the four arithmetic operations. So these are plus, minus, multiplication, division. So when they're talking about simplify, they're talking about the four arithmetic operations. So let me show you some examples of how to simplify expressions. Okay, now the question is simplify. So for example, one question can be twice x plus 7 plus 5x plus 3, and they're telling you to simplify. So you know simplifying means the four arithmetic operations. So let's add up twice x plus 5x. They can be added together, that is 7x, plus 7 plus 3 is 10. So that's it, done. You cannot do anything else, and this is, remember, you cannot add 7x with 10. Let's do another example. We call this example 1. Let's do example 2. Now here we can have an example where we have multiplication. For example, twice x plus 1, x plus 5. So what we do is we multiply this. Twice x into x is twice x squared. Twice x into 5 is 10x. Then, so what I did here is I multiplied this with this one, and then I multiplied this with this one. So twice x into x is twice x squared. Twice x into 5 is 10x. Now I'm going to multiply this with this one first, and this with this one. Okay, first with first and last, last with first and last. That's how you multiply this when you're simplifying it. So 1 into x is x, plus 1 into 5 is 5. So the first thing we had done, we have multiplied it. Now we have to simplify. So 2x squared is 2x squared. 10x plus x is 11x, plus 5 is this. So this is done, simplified. So let's do another example, example 3. Now you might also have to simplify fractions. For example, it can be twice x by 3 plus 5x by 2. Now when you have to simplify something like that, when you have to simplify a fraction, what you have to remember is you have to take an LCM. So this is 3, this is 2. So you try to find the LCM. So 3 into 2 is 6. So this would be, how do we get 3 multiplied to what is 6? So 3 2s is 6. So you multiplied that 2 upstairs. What do you multiply 2 to get 6? 2 3s is 6. So you multiplied the 3 with upstairs. So this is going to be 2 to the 4x plus 3 5s are 15x divided by 6. So this is going to be 19x by 6. So this is how you simplify. You just add, subtract, multiply, divide. That's all you have to do, simplifying. Now the next thing that we have to talk about is factorizing. So let's talk about factorizing. Factorize. Now one thing you have to remember, to factorize something, to factorize an expression, so to factorize is to break down. Remember, when you're factorizing something, you're breaking it down. So can be expressed with the help of numbers. For example, you want to factorize 24. It means you can break down 24 into 6 fours are 24. So 6 is called a factor, 4 is another factor. So that when you multiply 6 and 4, you get 24 again. 24 can also be factorized in terms of 12 2s are 24. So 12 is a factor, 2 is another factor. So this is how you factorize. Of course, 24 can also be factorized as 8 and 3. So 8 3s are 24. So 8 is a factor, 3 is a factor. Now in each case I have broken it down into two parts. Now if I want to, I can actually break it down into more parts. For example, 6 can also be factorized as 3 into 2. So 3 into 2 into 4. 4 can be also broken down as 2 into 2. So we can just keep on breaking down. When you factorize something, you just break it down so that when you multiply it back together, the original comes back. That's what factorizing is all about. So let's see an example of factorizing something linear. So linear polynomial. Remember, this is polynomial because the power of x upstairs is positive. So linear polynomial expression. From now on, I'm going to call it linear polynomial expression. I'm just going to call it linear expression. Okay, so if you have something like this, twice x plus 4, all you have to do, take 2 common, x plus 2. That's it, done, nothing else. You cannot do anything else. So if you multiply 2 with this, you get 2x plus 4 again. Another example, for example, 5x minus 20. All you can do is take 5 common, it will be x minus 4. Done, there is nothing else to do. And you can check, if you multiply it back, the original comes back. But if you multiply it again, the whole thing will be in a loop and you have to do it over and over again. Remember, when you take something common, you break it down, done. Factorizing is done. That's factorizing. So when you have a linear expression, the only way you can factorize is by taking common. So you just take common. So we can call it the common rule, taking it common. That's how we factorize it.